Tough Guys is an underrated classic from the 80s, and this year marks its 40th anniversary. Stars Kirk Douglas and Burt Lancaster in the final of their many films they made together. Their inspiration for this, I read in Kirk Douglas's memoirs that when him and Burt made an appearance at the Oscars back one of the Oscar shows back in the 80s, somebody who was there made a comment that it would be great to see them in one more movie. So they did one more movie together. And it was a good way to end their longtime co-starring partnership. Because they were best friends in real life. If you haven't read Kirk Douglas's memoirs, I think there's 7 or 8 of them. I bought and read all of them 2 years ago, and I loved them. And there's a chapter in one of them that talks about Kirk's friendship with Burt. Such a wholesome read. Anyway, the plot of this movie is they Brooke and Bert they play Archie and Harry, and they're they're let out of prison in the year 1986. They've been in there for 30 years for attempting to rob a train, and the police officer that busted them, Sergeant Jablonski, he's played by Charles Durning, and he doesn't believe they can reform, and he's waiting for them to do something bad so he can bust them again and be the big hero again. He's very arrogant, and I like when in one scene when he gets punched out by Archie when he runs into them at a bar. Um, Archie, their parole officer, played by Dana Carvey, he helps them out best way he can. He finds them employment. Well, he finds Archie employment because Harry is too old. He's past 70, so that's the mandatory retirement age. And I'm like, wait, I mean, I already knew that was when you're in the military and you reach 70, that's the mandatory retirement age. But now they did that with other types of employment either. Or maybe they just did it back then in the 80s. And I love Burt Lancaster's performance. I mean, his response to this when he says, "Look, I'm in good health. I got a strong back. I can work. Just give me something." Sorry, but that's the way it is. But Reagan's older than I am, and he's got a job. That was back when Reagan was president. And like when they leave the prison, when a guard he tells them, "See you next week. You'll be here next week." And then one of them he sticks his hand behind his back and does the finger at the guard. And they're also told that they can't talk to each other for a certain number of years because that's ex-cons are told to do that. They're not to associate with other ex-cons when they get out. They say, "What? We've been talking to each other for 30 years. What makes now any different?" And the the title tough guys refers to them because they're even though they're old, they're tough. Like there's one scene where they're trying to like cash a check at a bank, and then there's these younger guys coming there and trying to stick the place up, and one of them points a gun at Burt Lancaster and says, "You," he says, "Hey, you old bastard, get down on the floor," and he's like, "Don't you cuss me, boy. I'll call you know I want to," and him and Harry and Archie smoothly take them down. There's another scene where they run into the street gang, and I like the choices of music in this movie. Like Janet Jackson's song "Nasty" is playing on the gang's boombox, and there's a song in the opening credits by Kenny Rogers, like we're not young, like we are not too old for this or whatever. Forgot what the song was called, but I like the song. And there's another song later in the movie about tough guys called Tough Guys, I think. I like that one too. And there's some pretty good funny action scenes in it. Mostly fun, more not less action, but it's more of a comedy than an action comedy. And Eli Wallach, he plays this hitman who's been waiting 30 years for them to get out so he can kill him because he made a promise to the guy who hired him who's dead now because I mean, he quotes basically quotes his good, mad, and ugly co-star Lee Van Cleef when he says a line similar where he said, when I'm paid, I always see it through." And he's always trying to kill him, and they always avoid him. Like when he tries to make them walk down an alley, and then they walk past this open store with a stop sign thing hanging, warning people. They move it, and he falls down the sewer, and he says, "I'll get you for this" from inside the sewer. So later scene where he and when Kirk Douglas he gets these 2 jobs. His character Archie, the first job Archie gets, he works at this ice cream shop. And I saw this scene as a kid. Yeah, My stepdad was watching it. I didn't pay much attention to it because I had a friend over. I was busy playing in my room most of the time. But I do remember seeing that one scene at the ice cream shop that I thought was funny. And when I saw this again when it came on TV in 2014, I'm like, "Oh, that's that ice cream shop scene. That's what the movie that was from." And the it's the name of like this kid who goes into the ice cream shop. He's fussing at Kurt Douglas, like, "Da, da, da, go put that on my ice cream. Put that on my ice cream." Da, 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 da." He's complaining about the toppings, and then when he finally does it right, he says, "You still want this? Sure I do. Why do you think I came in here? You got a kid." Shows in his face. And Burt Lancaster, he's at this retirement home, and he's complaining about the food there, and he complains to the lady who runs the place, and he says, "We want steak, real food, not this slop." But most of those people out there don't have teeth. What he called these. And yeah, and then there's shot at how society has changed. Like gay people are openly about it. Like Buck Douglas, he goes into this bar, and that's his favorite bar. They used to hang out at 30 years ago, but then he finds out it's been turned into a gay bar. And this when he finds out because he's talking to this guy at the bar saying he hasn't danced in 30 years, and the guy says, "Shall we dance?" And he's like, "What?" And he sees two men dancing together, and he leaves immediately. And the elderly people, I mean the younger people, they're more disrespectful to the elderly. And he gets a job at this restaurant, and the lady who runs the restaurant, she's more assertive because the women's right movement and all, and she bosses him around because she doesn't like ex-con. So I mean, he quits the job like this talks up to each customer who was rude, and he's like, "Here's your bread," shoves it in his mouth, and then he says this lady, "Here's your water," and pours it over on her hair. And then he goes to this guy and says, "Here's your steak knife, sir." And he grabs his necktie and pins it to the table. So this movie is hilarious. And when Richie and Archie and Harry, they find out that they're not doing well outside of prison walls. So they decide to go back to a life of crime and try to rob the train again. Did they rob it or not? I'm not going to say. You got to wait and see. This is a good movie. I give it 2 thumbs up. All right, that's my review. If you like it, please hit the like button, subscribe for more. Thank you and God bless. Bye.